So are we seeing Victor Wembanyama already enter his peak?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. And happy Christmas Eve, or Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Hope you're all getting ready for a good time with family tonight. If y'all meet, if not, well then, Merry Christmas tomorrow. And hope you all have a good one. What are we talking about today? We're going to be discussing Victor Wembanyama. Are we witnessing him entering the peak years already? I mean, what he's been doing over the last several games has been incredible. If not, then how much higher can his ceiling go? That's the question we're going to be asking today. And then if we have time, we're going to get into some Spurs fan comments. And yes, everybody, subscribe to Locked On Spurs. Wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. You know where to find us. Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's available right now. If you're on the YouTube side of things, there's a link in the description below. Click on that, and you are good to go. It's completely free. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel right now. The NFL playoffs are almost here. It's not too late to get in on the action with FanDuel because new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bet if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, so Wemby, huh? Good Lord, what has he been doing? I mean, obviously he's good, but he's putting up monster numbers, breaking records, 3-point records. Guess what? He broke that. He got 200 career threes already. Fastest for him. Pretty much NBA history. What else? Oh, you need blocks? Yeah. He only had a 10 block shot night recently. What about points? Oh, how about a 40-point night recently? He is just doing it all. It is unreal. But is this the time he's already entering his peak years in year two? Or, and good luck to the rest of the league, is this a sign that he's not even close to his peak yet? We're going to discuss that with our guest, Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Rudy, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Jeff. Merry Christmas to you and all the Locked On family. I appreciate you having me back again.
No problem. And in case everybody doesn't know, Rudy is with Sweep the League. Follow him on Sweep the League. He's going to be talking about his show later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But Rudy, I mean, have you been noticing what Vic has been doing lately? It's insane. It is just unreal. As I mentioned earlier, putting up a monster number. Yeah, 30-point night versus Portland. He had a 42-point night versus the Hawks in overtime. He had a 12-rebound night over the Minnesota Timberwolves, 20-12 for that game. What he is doing is just unreal. But let me ask you, is he entering his prime already in year two? Or we're not even there yet, Rudy? What do you think?
Man, this type of basketball that we're seeing from him seems like prime Victor right now. The question more is what can he possibly do? I mean, he's putting up the stats already. I think he's got 203-point made already for his career. He's already, one of the best shot blockers in the league. He's putting up astronomical shot block, not records, but numbers. 40-point nights. I mean, I would say stat-wise, prime Victor is starting to take peak right now. Not saying that he's already hit his peak or he's not going to get it better. I think he's starting to get to there. We're expecting to see this night in, night out. We're probably going to be seeing this night in and night out. You look at other things like his, maybe getting to the free throw line a lot more, which means he had to play in the post more, which don't want to get into that kind of debate. But maybe his assist totals can go up. I mean, you look at the little things here and there, steals and all that. But prime peak Victor, I think you've already entered it. He's going to improve a lot more throughout the year. Now it's the win total. It's what can you do in the playoffs? What can you accomplish individual-wise as far as all-star games, as far as, MVP title, stuff like that. I think that's where we start to look at, okay, where can the improvement be?
I pull up the numbers in the last 3 games. Brace yourself, everybody. Or should I say brace yourself for the rest of the NBA. In the last 3 games heading into the Christmas Day game versus New York, 30.7 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists in 33.5 minutes. Well, okay, I'll go on. This is just astounding. 48% shooting from the field, 85% shooting from the free throw line. He's connecting on his shots within the 3-point line at 57%. He's taken about 10 3. He's made 4 over the last few games. That's good for 40%. And yeah, it's just unreal. And what I see here, Rudy, is I don't think he's entering his peak yet. I don't. Because he hasn't added size, size to deal with him. Like, he's going to have a beast, of a time versus Embiid. There's still Joker, who seems to have his number. There's bigger, younger guys, or his age guys that are coming up that are bigger than him. Donovan Klingons, your Zach Edey's. I think, if he adds some more size, he's going to become that much more dominant. So I think as far as his peak yet, I think we'll see it once his body catches up to his skill set. Who knows? He may be, frail what he is for the rest of his career, and it's effective. But I think for me, that's the X factor, is his physicality. If he can start getting physical, commanding more presence in the paint, Rudy being dominant physically, if teams want to get physical with him, I think then we'll see peak Wemby. Your thoughts?
You make a good point. Now that could be peak Wemby, but you're talking about trying to add size to a player with that kind of build already. It's pretty damn near impossible to get a player to add much more muscle than what he's going to get. Now, he's going to get more muscle. Obviously, he's going to work out a lot more.
Just naturally.
But yeah, naturally. And then the other thing, too, is you got to remember, I mean, Edey and Klingon are going to be very dominant guys in the post, which, yeah, he's going to have to defend. But on the offensive side, if you're adding more weight to Victor, you've seen it happen before. It affects their skill set on the offensive side. They become less quicker getting to the basket. So I can see where probably peak Victor, you haven't hit the peak yet. You haven't hit prime Victor. I don't think you hit prime or peak Victor yet. You're seeing probably the surface of it, of what he can be. But I think the physical stature of him, it's going to have to do, honestly, this is where it's going to be. It's going to have to be more in his legs than anything else. Because on a big man at 7'1" or above, you always hear about the knee problem, the feet problem. Yao Ming, go back to Yao Ming. Tim Duncan, plantar fasciitis. You hear about the feet problem. So I think if he's able to maintain his strength in his legs, knees, and feet, areas, that would be more beneficial. You can have him play a lot more into the basket, be a little more physical. I think the upper body strength is going to come in time. He's not going to get bulk like David Robinson overnight. If he was, then you're talking peak Victor, prime Victor type stuff. But for me, I think you see the surface of it right now. He could add weight, but I don't know if that's going to generally mean he's going to be more dominant, if that makes sense right there.
Yeah. Look at what Victor's doing so far this season. It's just jaw-dropping. Even the NBA announced that Vic is in the top 5 of the most viewed players. So he's international, at this point. I think he's only going to go up. Look, the Spurs are probably not going to be on Christmas Day tomorrow if it wasn't for Vic. Let's just be honest. It probably wouldn't. If the Spurs were to whip on that, that draft class and they got 2 or 3, I don't think Scoot Henderson in the Spurs jersey is going to draw eyes. But so he's just impacted it on that level. And again, just his second year. Now, are there areas for improvement? Sure. Everybody needed improvement. Look at Tim Duncan. What was his big knock? Free throw shooting. But he worked on it and it got better. Now, for Victor, it's really tough. It's tough because, you can criticize his 3-point shooting. Oh, Vic, you're taking too many threes. But he broke a record recently with 200 threes in the fastest 200. So he's kind of making everybody eat crow on that right now. Okay, blocked. Well, he just put up a double-figure block night. Okay, fine. Defensive metrics. Well, he has that on lock. I gotta ask. You know what? I'm gonna ask you this. If we're going to go to break. Is this his ceiling though? Maybe not his peak, but are we seeing him get close to his ceiling already? So we're going to be discussing that with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him on X at Sweep the League and do that right now. But first, I want to talk to you about Robinhood.
With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up today at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving, they'll have it. Check out the menu. We're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member, serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, like I was mentioned right now, the Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, and we were discussing Victor Wembanyama and his incredible play of, it's astounding. It's just eye-opening, jaw-dropping, off the backboard dunks for himself, bringing the Spurs a W in a close game versus Atlanta, went into overtime. By the way, speaking of that, quick aside, because we're talking about Wemby. What's up with the Hawks social media still talking about that dunk that Hunter got on Wemby? Can they let it go already? Because I thought the goal is to win the game, not the individual battle.
Yeah, I mean the goal is to win the game, but when you don't have very many highlights, the showcase,
It's weird.
you got to take what you can get.
Just saying, yeah. But yeah, we're discussing Wemby and again his incredible play. All right, so it's kind of maybe a little finite question here, but we talked about if he's entering his peak. Rudy thinks that he is. I don't think he's there yet. But what about a ceiling? Has the ceiling factor gone up? Is there room for him to get even? I mean, I guess for lack of a better term, I'm going to use a nerd term here, to level up in his Super Saiyan status. He's probably at Super Saiyan 2. He's probably going to reach Super Saiyan 3 soon. But where do you think the next level for him is to go? Is it the physicality part? What do you think it is?
Easy. And I don't know if this was gonna, go well with the fans, but winning. I mean, simply just win. Get to the playoffs, make a name in the playoffs, get some titles, get some NBA final appearances, get into the All-Star game, as an individual status, get into the All-Star game, which he will get in there. But then start building up that accolades, the awards and stuff on the side too. That's what's left to be done. And I mean, one thing he brought up was the 3-point shooting. He backed 200, but look at it from the bigger picture. Does that equate to more wins? I mean, they had a 22-win season last year, jacking up threes. They're at 15 wins this year, which is way above, way above more than expectations. A lot of people expect, even me expected already. So they are winning. But what's left is not so much, I think, as far as individual points, rebounds, anything like that. This isn't the ceiling, but I think what it is he's like I said, he's on the surface. You're starting to see it now. The best question to look at for me is, what more can he do? I mean, do you want him to average 40 points a game? Do you want him to average 33 points a game? Do you want him to average 15 rebounds a game? Because, I mean, those numbers are astronomical. But if it doesn't involve winning, then those numbers are for naught, is what it is. So ceiling wise, I think he's probably right at the ceiling. This is where, you're getting that prime peak Victor already. So he's about to crash to the ceiling. Like Superman did, with the elevator and stuff like that, or Willy Wonka's elevator goes crashing through the ceiling as well. You got different things, and that's what we're seeing. He's going to crash through it and get even better. But for all the hype and all the greatness we see, if it doesn't equal to wins, then what are we really celebrating? And again, not to be a Debbie Downer on Christmas, no doubt. I'm not making this a bad thing. Yeah, I'm not making this a bad thing. I'm just saying that he's playing great. He's playing at a peak performance. He's playing at a high performance right now. The one thing left to do is just to get wins now.
Yeah, okay, that's obvious, and I think you're right. Wemby even talked about it recently, saying, okay, I'm getting these individual accolades. That's great, but we haven't been there yet. We still haven't made the playoffs, won a series, won it all. Yes, they even made the play-in during Wemby's tenure here, at least in the last rookie season till now. So there's that, although that could change this end of this season. But if I am going to pick a spot where his ceiling can improve and get higher, is leadership. Make this his team. This is his team. If I'm glad Chris Paul's there, I'm glad Harrison Barnes is there. They're definitely the vocal veteran leaders, but I want Victor to become that already. Skill wise, he has it all: 3-shot, 2-shot, blocks, rebounding, assists, facilitating, all. But if there's one area I think his overall game will improve, is just making this his team, where he's gathering the troops half court and talking about maybe runs the other team is going on. He's pulling players aside. Hey, Trey Jones, you didn't catch me on here, or you missed this guy. I want to see that. I think that's probably the next evolution for his team. What do you think, Rudy?
I can see that. And, you and I, we love talking banter back and forth and sometimes just pushback, but I can see that. My thing is that, is he a leader though? I mean, he's never really had to be a leader in France, even if the national French team, he was their best player, but he was never the leader of that national French team in the Olympics. And even on a Spurs team, I get, try to be a leader, but if you look at some players more important, more recently with the Spurs, they're better players like a LaMarcus Aldridge. I never really saw him as a leader, even though he was probably their best player. Kawhi Leonard was obviously their best player, but never a vocal leader. So it's not a bad thing if he's never gonna be in the leadership role. That's not a bad thing at all. I do see where you're coming from. I think more so ever, Jeff, it's just he's got to be vocal. Be a little bit more fiery to his teammates and kind of go from there. But personally, I don't think he has it in him to be a leader. And that's like a Chris Paul or a Tony Parker. I mean, Tim Duncan was a leader, but he wasn't the vocal leader or the fiery leader that made the San Antonio Spurs go. So he falls along those lines of be vocal, like a Tim, like, certain people in, the Spurs organization and other NBA teams. But the leader part, the aspect, what are you going to get? You're probably getting the perfect thing right here. You're hoping that he becomes Optimus Prime, but you're getting Ultra Magnus. You're getting a leader and a vocal guy, but somebody that's not going to be able to carry that matrix of leadership.
I'm just glad you didn't say Rodimus Prime.
I didn't say Rodimus. No, Rob.
I'm glad you didn't say Rodimus Prime. I'm very happy. I thought you were going to go there. I was please don't say Rodimus. But no. Hey, look. Sometimes I want him to have that bit of nasty in him too, like a Megatron. I wouldn't mind that, and I think you're starting to see that a little bit. When he got dumped on by Hunter, he stood up in a hurry and got in Hunter's face, sort of, kind of. I like that aspect of it. I like that he definitely, he talks a little smack on the court. I think that perhaps is his next step. And what's scary about it, he's just 20 years old, and we're already talking about him being the leader of the court. And I think you're gonna have to see that if Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes exit the team either this season, trade deadline, or in the off season, or Chris Paul rehires or something like that, or Harrison Barnes wants to get a shot at a legit shot at a title. So I think that aspect that I'm looking forward to as far as his ceiling might be coming sooner than later. But I mean, going over just some numbers here. I'm looking at where can he improve? Maybe field goal percentage. I mean, but then again, he's 48% right now. Then I look, okay, 3-point shooting. Well, like I said, pretty much shut everybody up with that. If you're gonna pick a spot, it's got to be turnovers. Right now, he's averaging nearly 4 turnovers a game. He tends to be turnover happy. I think he likes to do a lot on the court, and maybe he pushes it too much sometimes.
That's the way of the league. When you're a superstar in this league, your turnovers are going to be really high. So it's kind of the way of the league right now.
Yeah, he had a 6 turnover performance against Utah on November 9th. He had a 3-5 turnover nights this season so far. So, I mean, you may clean that up, but it's just difficult to try to – I feel like we're just nitpicking here because he does it all for this squad. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think another test for him as far as his ceiling, maybe not his peak, but his ceiling could be having to deal with, the wear and tear of an NBA season. Because I think in Europe, they don't play heavy games every month. It's like maybe 2 or 3 a week or something like that, and then days off. So we'll see how his body holds up, but we shall see. But yeah, I mean, Victor Wembanyama, what more can you say? He is doing it all. But what do you think, everybody else? What is his ceiling? Are we seeing him enter his peak already? You can let Rudy know on X at Sweep the League. You can let me know by simply following the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Go on YouTube, search Locked On Spurs, and subscribe right now. Time for you guys. Yep, coming up next, we're going to be discussing Locked On Spurs fans' comments on this Christmas Eve. We're here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and the place where to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com right now to join today. By the way, the app is very easy to use, user-friendly. It's very intuitive and not hard to navigate whatsoever. Sign up is easy. Hey, look, NFL action, as mentioned, is underway. NBA action is underway. Your Spurs are underway right now. What more do you need? Go to FanDuel.com right now to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All that takes is just for you to go and sign up right now. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Hello, Spurs fans. Joker here, and I listen to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. And you better too.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. And I think you need to dispel or maybe verify a rumor out there. For some reason, you're always missing, Rudy, on Christmas Eve around midnight, and nobody can find you. And yet the next day, homes across the globe have gifts. Rudy, you're hiding something from us here?
I do work on Christmas Eve. I really do. My wife always wonders why I work on Christmas Eve, but I do work on Christmas Eve. I will not say what I do because I have a very top secret job. So I will say that I do work on Christmas Eve, and I do get home at a relatively good hour. So yeah.
Here, why do you buy buy a lot of deer feed though? You buy a lot of deer brain in it. Why is that?
If you really look, you're a fitness guy. So I mean, if you look at the protein in deer feed, it's really good to mix in seasoning for stuff. So yeah, that's why I do it.
Yeah, I thought I saw you with a red jacket the other day, but I didn't look. I saw you at the mall. Like, I thought it was you at the mall, but I didn't know. So I said, I better not make a fool of myself. Well, maybe one day we'll.
Chicago Bulls jacket.
Yeah, one day we'll figure out the mystery of Rudy Campos going missing around midnight every single year around this time. So again, we're talking with Rudy Campos, and now it's time to get into the fan comments. All right, you guys are leaving a bunch of comments. Let's dive into them. Shocking, or maybe not shocking, Rudy. Everybody's talking about the whole De'Aaron Fox Spurs rumor. In case everybody did not know, The Athletic reported recently that the Spurs are among teams monitoring what is happening between the Kings and Fox. Will he or not stay there long term? According to other reports, he did decline a contract extension by Sacramento. However, he did say, Fox, that he likes to stay in Sacramento, but of course they're going to say that. Remember, Kawhi Leonard said the same thing. I want to stay in San Antonio. We all saw that worked out. And also, according to The Athletic, the Spurs are positioning themselves to make a move if need be to get Fox in San Antonio. Rudy, I got to go to you for this one because you and your team over there at Sweep the League have been on this for years now. So here is a comment. This is from I'm going to try my best. Mr. Jones, I get it. Mr. Jones the third. He says, quote, if there is a trade for a point guard, Vassell's going to have to be the first piece. That point guard for the Fox would have to be a better fit in the black and silver. Fox or LaMelo? Question mark. So thank you very much for that comment there, Mr. Jones III. So he's basically saying that if the Spurs are going to make a trade for a point guard, Vassell's probably going to be the one to be let gone/traded. But he's saying, who is the better fit, though, Fox or LaMelo? What do you think?
The easier part to question, or the easier answer to one of those questions I'm going to answer first is the LaMelo Fox thing. It's going to be Fox no matter what. Now, LaMelo Ball, young guy, great assist guy, great up and down the court guy, very turnover prone. And I think for a young team, if you're going to go with either Fox or LaMelo, it's going to be Fox. Now, you're talking about a guy who can play with a good pace, a steady pace, who is a good leader, something we talked about earlier, for this team, and is relatively young. I think he's only 26 years old. So, I mean, he would still be a really good part of the rebuild process for the San Antonio Spurs. It would basically just kickstart the whole rebuild. And of the two, Fox is the one guy you definitely want. Provides consistent scoring, very consistent on the offensive side, can make things happen, make the great pass, he up and down the floor a lot better. So Fox is basically the consensus is going to be Fox there. Now, going back to Vassell being part of the trade package, I will say this. Jeff can attest to this. We've been talking about this since way before the season started, way before the draft happened this past year. So Derek Gervin on our show and myself, we've been talking about this. Derek brought it up. We could talk about it forever. So Fox and San Antonio is nothing new to us here at Sweep the League. But to involve Devin Vassell, I will say this much. It's probably not going to happen. I would say probably 70% positive Devin wouldn't be involved in it. If the big number that has to be moved, it's probably going to be Keldon Johnson as the one guy that you're looking at. Now, remember, Sacramento's going to want a lot of draft picks in return for Fox. That's going to be their gold right there as a draft pick. So you may be looking at a Malachi Branham, maybe a Zach Collins, maybe Keldon in there. The possibilities of Trey Jones going are also there as well. But as far as Devin going, I don't see Devin as part of the trade package. If Devin goes, it's going to be less draft picks going towards Sacramento. They kind of are aware of that, so they would rather have the draft picks coming up. So, yeah, I don't see Devin being a part of any type of deal. And also, it does trickle down to Chris Paul, just FYI.
Interesting. All right. Well, my take on this is that if you're Sacramento, you're going to want to do a big deal now because he can walk. And Sacramento will be left empty-handed. He declined the extension. I think he's a free agent this offseason, correct? I think he is.
He's a free agent this offseason, and that's the reason why When you guys saw DeMar DeRozan sign with them, it was because they felt they kind of already lost. When he declined his option, they signed DeMar DeRozan as kind of an insurance policy.
So if you're Sacramento, you're going to want to get a deal done this season, trade deadline. And the Spurs have more than enough to make a deal with Sacramento. Devin, sure. Keldon, sure. Draft picks, we all know how many they got. So if you're pushing for that trade sooner and like now before you're left empty-handed. So if you're the Spurs, though, do you run you roll the dice? You say, you know what, let's not bust this team up yet. Let's just see if we can scoop them up at free agency. So I think that's going to be the poll now is what does Sacramento do? Because they're going to have to make a decision, and Fox is going to have to tell them, I ain't staying. You would think that he would do the right thing and say, I'm not staying, try to get your value now. But man, if you're Spurs, you're hoping he just walks in free agency. Then you can throw everything at him, including Wemby, rising team. Your wife's from San Antonio. You were born in Texas or you played in Texas. You visited Spurs games when you were younger. You're a fan of Manu Ginobili. You can do all of that. And look, you got extra side of Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, that definitely creates some space for you. So there's that. But you don't think if the Spurs are to make a deal, they're not just getting the same type of player, another point guard swing guy, because they already got that with Castle. Don't you think that's kind of redundant?
No, you can't ever have more scoring in the NBA. Obviously, you got to have scorers. So I think a backcourt of Castle and Fox makes a boatload of sense for the San Antonio Spurs. It makes you saw what Castle and Chris Paul could do. Now imagine a very quick version of the point guard like De'Aaron Fox. I mean, yeah, he's not so-called the point guard, but he's a very quick point guard, and he can get up and down the floor. Him and Castle can run together. I think it fits a lot better, and you're not losing a whole lot there with Castle and Fox in the background in the backcourt. So, yeah, I mean, there's really no reason to even think twice. Now, if you wait till free agency, you run the risk of not getting him at all because another team could put a lot more money up. Also, Sacramento can wait for the summer to come because what they can do is do a sign and trade, and that'll give Fox an X number of dollars more because he did a sign and trade than he would just going out into free agency. So there's a lot of scenarios, but if you're San Antonio and you want this guy, you go get him now. Don't put it in the hands of free agency or summertime because a team in the 11th hour can come at the trade deadline and scoop him up, and guess what? He's gone for good. So if you are really serious about any player that's not Fox, you go get him now, regardless if you feel like it's going to make you win right now.
Yeah, also, too, that I said the Spurs are among teams reportedly keeping an eye on things on Fox in Sacramento right now. One of those teams, reportedly,
they are the favorites.
The Spurs are, right?
Yeah, I would say that they're the favorites.
Well, one of those other teams there, just a team in Texas called the Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine if Houston were to scoop in and be like, all right, we got him. Here you go. We're good. The Spurs are already behind the 8-ball in the division, let alone the West. They're in a rebuild right now. Then Houston is playing well, one of the better teams in the West, and you throw that in there and be, woo. Good times at the Spurs to competition level, but
Houston, I wouldn't worry. This is my thing. Houston could get him. I mean, no doubt about it. But Houston has a lot of rookie contracts still. So the only big money Houston has, I believe, is like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. Sacramento is not going to want Fred VanVleet, and Houston doesn't have a whole lot of draft picks that are actually worth as much as what the Spurs are worth. So that's where I think it differs a lot. So you're probably going to have to give up a Green and maybe a Thompson. You're going to have to give up some of your youth just to make the numbers work. And I don't see that happening for Sacramento. It could, but I don't see that as being the best option for them.
Yeah, we'll see. But, woo, Fox and San Antonio, that'd be great pairing. That'd be good. And we talk about pushing the pedal to the metal in the rebuild. I mean, that's like, wow, an all-star guard. Wemby doesn't have an all-star guard right now. Fox will solve that right away. But hey, unfortunately, we ran out of time. We're only get to one comment, but still keep those comments going here at Locked On Spurs YouTube page. We will read them as the season continues. Mr. Campos, Santa, as I suspect. What's going on in your neck of the woods? What's going on with the holiday season over there at Sweep? Y'all taking a break or anything? What do fans need to know?
Yeah, so pretty much for Sweep, we're going to be off the holidays. We'll be back around the New Year's, the week of New Year's Day, so don't worry about that. But for the Christmas holidays, we're going to take a break. We may do a pop-up show tonight, Christmas Eve pop-up show, but if it is, it might be us just going and diving into the vault and the NBA vault, talking to Derek about some old NBA players and stuff. And a lot of fans seem to like that a whole lot, so we may just open up the vault and do that again. But go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 2K by the end of 2K24. It's a whole mess to get there, but we'll get there eventually. So definitely looking forward to it. Be a subscriber, and if Fox comes to San Antonio, I'll give you my Cash App, Jeff, to give out to everybody because it made stuff happen. I deserve some kind of gifts. But here's this. I hope he wears number 29. Why? Because we already have a Fox 29 in San Antonio. That would be cool if he goes to 29 on his jersey. That would be a pretty good fit right there.
In lieu of payment, there's sometimes I hear on the streets that you accept cookies and milk. It's weird. Like, what's going on here?
I do, but it's only once a year. It's you're making me talk too much about this. Get it away.
All right. Well, okay. Well, cool. Well, we never long, but but I still need to know, why do you go missing around midnight on Christmas Eve? Still, we will never know the mystery of what Rudy Campos does for the globe around this time of the year. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X, that's Sweep the League. Make sure to do that right now. We are taking Christmas Day off. There'll be no Locked On Spurs tomorrow, but we'll resume as soon as the holidays kind of settle down. I think we'll definitely have one, I think on Thursday or Friday. We'll stay tuned. We'll have something for you guys. But keep on coming here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Campos app, Spotify, YouTube. You know where to go. Speaking of YouTube, go there right now. Click on the description below. There's a link to the free Locked On Spurs newsletter. Sign up today. Get yourself some good information, little companion piece here at Locked On Spurs. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.